Hey there, welcome to ASMRtists Around the World, a series where we learn about other cultures in a relaxing way. Today we are traveling to South Africa with African Xhosa ASMR. I'm going to be asking her a bunch of questions with my handy dandy travel journal. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be part of this ASMR Around the World series, and I'm very pleased to meet you in order to come here and represent Africa as well as South Africa, popularly known as Mzansi. So thank you very much for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited. So, first, tell us who you are and what it means to be South African.
Well, my name is not Xhosa. A lot of people think I'm Xhosa, but my name is Siviwe, which means Siviwe isicelo sethu. That translates to our prayers have been answered. My parents were asking for me and they got me and decided to name me Siviwe isicelo sethu because their prayers have been answered. And what it means to be South African, well, being South African to me means being part of a rainbow nation. The rainbow does not come out of thin air. It represents so many different things. It represents freedom, equality, and diversity. And I'm so proud to be part of that rainbow, which represents all these significant principles. And that's what makes me proudly South African.
I love that. That's amazing. Well, let's dive right into the relaxing part of this. What would you say are some of the most relaxing things to do in South Africa?
There's so many different things people do around the world to relax that we also apply in South Africa. For example, going to the beach, looking at sunset, sitting around, having a spa day. But what is interesting is that in South Africa, we also have another form of relaxation which might be confusing to other people. For example, if you have a South African friend and then you ask them, what will you be doing over the weekend? And they say, I will just be relaxing. What they basically mean is that they will be having fun, dancing, singing, playing loud music, and having a braai or a barbecue as they call it, but we call it braai or chisanyama in South Africa. Chisanyama is a very important part of our culture in terms of relaxing, but to most people it can be confusing because we're playing loud music and we're dancing and we're singing. So to other people that might not be considered relaxing, but what makes it relaxing to us is enjoying quality time with people who bring you most joy in life, which is family and friends, and that makes us relaxed. So braai is a very important form of relaxation that brings us joy in South Africa. So I would say that is.
That is the sweetest thing I feel like I've heard, and so like funny to think that someone's version of relaxing is partying.
Exactly.
It's too fun. I love it.
Yes,
Oh,
we are actually referred to as the Bantu nation, which is the nation of people. And the motto of South Africa is umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, which means a person is a person because of other people. So we always together and spreading love and positivity, and that actually relaxes us. So, yeah, the spirit of ubuntu.
yeah. It sounds like it's such a strong community and that,
Yes,
everyone is just there for everyone. It just sounds
yes,
like such a great culture.
indeed.
So, tell us more about the language in South Africa. I know that there are quite a few official languages in South Africa, but I believe that you primarily teach Xhosa on your channel. So, what are some common phrases in Xhosa that are good to know as a traveler?
Well, yes, there are 11 official languages in South Africa, which sounds crazy to a lot of people, but we have so many different languages because we are a very rich and diverse country that embraces every culture, and for that reason that's why we have 11 official languages. And my subscribers know that before I start my videos, I always greet them using so many different languages. That's because I am incorporating all the official languages of South Africa. I say Molo, Dumela, Abusheni, so these are different languages that we have. And I speak Xhosa. Xhosa is actually my home language. It's a language that's used in the Eastern Cape, which is the province that I'm from. It's very popular in the Eastern Cape, but it is still used in other parts of South Africa as well. But I'm very proud to be Xhosa, and that's why I'm embracing it in my channel. But there's so many other languages I could embrace as well. And in terms of phrases, there's so many different phrases to choose from. But one thing I'll say is that I was privileged enough to receive a Japanese scholarship from the Japanese government to go study over there and pursue my master's in environmental engineering. And when I was going there, I actually wanted to learn the most essential words I could use. And there were three that I could think of. The first one being hello, because that's how you start a conversation, which is konnichiwa. And then the second one, which is thank you, to show appreciation, which is arigato gozaimasu. And then the third one, which is please help me, which is tasugete kudasai. So I would suggest learning the same words in Xhosa as well, because these three words can get you far. And you say hello by saying molo, molo, which is MOLO, molo. And then you say thank you by saying enkosi, enkosi. And then you say please help me by saying ndicela undincede, ndicela undincede. So those are the three words I can teach people that they would normally use when they get here.
That's great. And I love that example with Japan. And by the way, congratulations, because that's an amazing thing in itself.
Thank
And to get
you.
a master's in environmental engineering that was in Japan, that's just incredible.
Thank you.
So, what is a South African safari experience like?
Well, honestly speaking, I've never had the safari experience, so I don't know how to say it's like, but it is one of the most ideal tourist attraction sites in South Africa. You can't come to South Africa without having a safari experience, so I would kindly advise anyone who plans on visiting South Africa to go to have a safari experience by going to places like the Kruger National Park. But I personally have never been because I'm a local citizen, and at times local citizens don't feel the need to go sightseeing in their own countries, if it makes sense.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I mean, I think with everyone, there's places that they don't go because they're a local, but it's kind of funny. I feel like locals should do some of the touristy things too because it can be fun.
Yes, but I would love to one day, but at the current moment, I'm not in a good financial state to do so because it is a very, very far from the Eastern Cape to go to Kruger National Park. So it's in a different province, or I would say it's different state if I was in America. So it's quite costly. So that's one of the main reasons why I've never been to. And there are also other safaris in the Eastern Cape as well, but the financial situation.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And South Africa is a big place too. So,
Yes.
what is one of your favorite foods?
My favorite food is called umngqusho. Umngqusho is basically samp and beans. It takes very long period of time to prepare it, but it is delicious and it's cooked in a certain way in our culture, and it's a very common dish as well. I love umngqusho. I would say it's one of my favorite meals.
Sounds delicious. Now, what about some candy that's really popular in South Africa?
Okay, we have different candies. Right here with me, I have this. You can't see it very well. I have this. This is called drink o pop. We take the drink o pop, we put it in water, and then we mix well, and then we take the mixture and we freeze it in a fridge overnight, and then in a hot summer day we take the frozen ice and we drink it, and that is called isiqeda. And secondly, we have this, which is a very popular sweet that we have in South Africa. It's called a pin pop. It's very common, and inside there is a chewing gum. And what's interesting about chewing gums in South Africa is that there is a brand called Chappies, and that brand is so popular such that people referred to all kinds of chewing gum as Chappies. Even if you're buying a different brand, you normally say buy me Chappies, but this brand of Chappies, because it's a very popular brand of chewing gum. And then another one is
sounds tingly.
Is this packet of chips, and we call this amalopisi. It's very common in townships and villages, and most school kids love buying it because it's very affordable and it tastes really good. Amalopisi. So yeah, and then lastly we have this easy to go drink, and we call it ibibo. So yes, that's the candy I have, and that's most popular, that I also enjoy eating as well.
All of those snacks sound really delicious, so I hope I get to try those at some point. Now, what hotspots would you recommend travelers to visit in South Africa?
There's so many famous tourist attraction sites like the Table Mountain and the Apartheid Museum. Those are the most common ones, but they are very interesting sites that are highly underrated in the Eastern Cape province, and I would like to talk about those because they're very beautiful. And the first one is Addo National Park, which is ADDO. In order to go and have a safari experience, you can go to Addo. And if you want to see the most beautiful, breathtaking scenery of your whole entire life, you can go to Umngazi in Port St. John's. Umngazi in Port St. John's. It is very beautiful. You can chill and relax and have a spa over there, and the view is absolutely amazing. And then if you want to still have a beautiful scenery, but you want an adrenaline pumping experience, you can definitely go to Tsitsikamma National Park, and then you can go bungee jumping over there, or you can do rock climbing and all sorts of things. So those are the three top places I would suggest: Tsitsikamma, Addo, and Umngazi in the Eastern Cape.
Wow, that's great. And that actually kind of covers my next question, which was what activities you would recommend travelers to do. But I guess, is there any other activities you haven't mentioned that, outside of bungee jumping for those who may not feel ready for that yet?
Whenever you're visiting a country, you definitely want to have a rich cultural experience. So in South Africa, you can have a fun experience with cultural dancing, cultural music, and cultural artists, as well as cultural food. So I would suggest places that embrace the true cultural experience, and places where you can have cultural food, cultural dance and music sessions, and see cultural lifestyle and homes and so on and so forth, is called Xhosa. That's CINTSA. Xhosa. I would suggest going to Xhosa because it embraces culture and tradition, whereby you can have a real, true, rich South African experience.
When I get the chance to go to South Africa, I'm gonna need to bring you with me to guide me because you
Yes,
are the
definitely.
perfect guide.
Yes, that would be lovely.
Now, I know that you talked a little bit about bungee jumping. I read that the world's highest bungee jump, which is 216 meters, is on the border of the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape. Have you ever done this, and would you?
Well, you are absolutely correct. It's in Tsitsikama, and no, I have not tried it, and I do not have any plans of trying it out anytime ever in my life, because one thing I fear the most is heights. I cannot deal with heights, so just standing there would just freak me out. So I wouldn't try it out. But if you're someone who loves heights, then you should definitely check it out, because my sister has tried it out 3 times already, but I was way too scared. I couldn't even get up to go try it out because I just can't deal with heights.
Yeah, I think I would be on the same boat with you there. I can be pretty risk takey. I can take risks, but bungee jumping scares me, so I don't think I
No,
would take
no,
that
no.
risk anytime soon.
Not anytime.
What was the name of that bridge?
It's the Blowkrans Bridge. The Blowkrans Bridge. It's the bridge where they bungee jump from.
Okay. Now, what's a popular event that's unique to South Africa?
Um, there's so many different ones, but the two that I can think of right now, the first one is called Mandela Day. Mandela Day is a public holiday whereby you, as an individual, you go out and perform any kind gesture to the world as a whole. So maybe you can go to the beach and pick up papers the entire day, or you can go to a homeless shelter and help the people out there the whole day, or you can go to an old age, or you can paint the park. So any kind gesture, you need to do it the entire day in order to help others and make the world a better place as well. And that's called Mandela Day, and that is on the 18th of July each year. And the 18th of July is the day in which Nelson Mandela was born. Nelson Mandela is the former democratic president of South Africa, and he was the very first black president of our country as well. So he fought for equality and democracy of black people. So on his birthday, people celebrate by conducting acts of kindness to others and the universe as a whole. And the second one is Durban July. Durban July is a day whereby it's actually a horse racing event, but people actually turn it into a fashion festival of some sort. And if I were to compare it, I would compare it to the Met Gala in the United States, where people, rich people, and celebrities dress up and go to the Met Gala and take photos. And Durban July is just like that. South African celebrities and rich people dress up and go attend it, and we would watch ceremonies to see on TV who was wearing what and how they were wearing it. So it gets to be a fun experience for everybody, and we call it the Durban July, and it's celebrated on the first weekend of July each year.
And during that, do they also dress up the horses as well? Is there a horse fashion show?
I'm not sure about that. People don't really make it about horses, but they just race the horses, and people bet on which horse is going to win, and so on. But I've never seen them dressing the horses. I've seen them racing them, but that would be interesting.
I'm just saying, if everyone else is dressing up. But first of all, I wanted to comment on that kindness day you were talking about. The fact that there's a whole day just dedicated to being kind. I find that just amazing. And if I could, I would vote that everywhere around the world had that day too.
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. It unites us all together, more especially in difficult times, to know that there are people who still care. So it's actually very beautiful experience.
Yeah. That is that's so touching. Okay. Now that we talked a little bit about fashion and kindness, let's talk a little bit about music. Who are some iconic South African singers or musicians?
There are so many. It's so difficult to choose just one, and this is one of the most debated topics here, because different people have different icons. But according to me, female wise, the icon of South African music, the lady who shifted things, and her music still lives on even though she has unfortunately passed away. Her name is Brenda Fassie. Brenda Fassie, popularly known as Mabr. She was referred to as the Queen of African pop. She sang beautiful music that connects us, music that brings us together. Even the younger generations who are growing up now know who she is. So she has left a very beautiful and powerful legacy in her music, and that's absolutely wonderful. So I would say, female wise, it's Brenda Fassie. And then in terms of males, there is a man who, every time he dropped an album, everybody would just flood to go purchase his album all the time, and his name is Mendoza. Mendoza made beautiful music that we danced to, and his music was also powerful as well, and it just connected us around the festive season, December, when we're busy having fun. Around Christmas, we would play Mendoza's music around the house, and he's an icon as well. And he sings a genre called Kwaito music, which is a genre of music that is common or that originates from South Africa, and it's called Kwaito music, and it's actually very beautiful music. It's cheerful, and if you want to dance, you can just listen to it. It's amazing. Mendoza and Brenda Fassie are my absolute favorites, and they are icons in South African music. They shifted everything in terms of music.
Both of those singers sound wonderful, and I'll definitely need to add them to my playlist.
Yes, that would be lovely.
You also mentioned that you were getting a master's. I don't know if you're still in school right now, but tell us a little bit about what school life is like and what the tuition fees also are normally like.
School in South Africa is like any other country, honestly. But what I think is interesting in our school system is that when you are leaving high school to go to university, after writing your exams, the exams papers are sent to the Department of Education for different markers to mark your papers. And then upon marking them, you don't really get a report card right away. What happens is that when the results come out, you have to go buy a newspaper, and the newspaper will have all the different high school names listed in alphabetical order, and underneath every school there are names of students who passed, and next to their names they write your grade, like how you passed your high school. And if you got distinctions, they will also list the distinctions that you got. The first one level is B. If you get a B next to your name, that means you got a bachelor's, or you qualify for a bachelor's degree in university. And then there is a D. A D means that you qualify for a diploma. And then there's an H, which means you're not really qualified to go to university. And then lastly, there is an S, which means school leaving. You just left school, but you do not really qualify for anything. So you need to go fix your results. So what would normally happen is that you buy the newspaper and you look for your name, and you see whether you passed and how well you did, and whether you qualified to go to university or not. But now the system has changed, because a lot of people would be known by the entire world if they made it or not. So now, instead of writing your name, the Department of Education decided to write student numbers. So in order for you to know that you qualify to go to university in South Africa, you have to buy that newspaper and look from the newspaper whether you made it or not. I'm not sure if other countries do that, but that's what we do in South Africa.
That is very surprising to me. So the only way you can find out how well you did or if you passed is by buying that newspaper.
Yes, you will need to buy that newspaper, but now technology has changed. On the day of the newspaper coming out, maybe you're not in town, so you cannot get the newspaper. There are certain things that you need to SMS. But even if I'm not in high school and I go buy the newspaper, I can look for your name using your student number. If you give me your student number, I can look for your name to see whether you made it, because that newspaper is accessible to anyone and everyone in the country. So that is it.
That newspaper probably makes a lot of money that day each year.
Yes, very much, yes.
I think that's so interesting because I think it's really fun for people who did well, but it must feel weird for people who didn't do well to know that other people could. I know they changed the name to student number now, but it's kind of just like it must be embarrassing for those who did not pass.
Yes, that's why they actually decided to change to student numbers, because if you're my neighbor and I know you are in high school and I know your name, I can look you up on the newspaper and know whether you passed or not. So a lot of people who didn't make it would enter into, depression mode and all that, and harm themselves. And because of that reason, they had to change it to the student numbers. But they still use the newspapers, which is
Yeah.
interesting why they use them instead of just giving report cards.
Yeah. Yeah, that I have to say that is definitely new to me, so I don't know where else around the world if they do that. So,
Yes.
it seems like Johannesburg is a popular site for archaeologists because of its fossils. What do you know about the Cradle of Humankind?
Well, I don't really know much besides the basic knowledge that we learned in primary school, which is all human life started in Africa. And besides that, there isn't much knowledge I know, because I didn't really focus on that in terms of my studies, and I forgot what I learned in primary school. But all I know is that there was a skeleton referred to as Mrs. Whatnot that was discovered, and only to later find out that Mrs. What was not even a lady, it was actually a man, but they still had to keep the Mrs. What name. That's what I remember very vividly. So, yeah.
And where has been one of your favorite places to visit in South Africa?
My favorite places to visit, I would say a place called Hawksburg in South Africa. It's for my final year research when I was doing my undergraduate studies here in South Africa. I was doing research on climate change, and we had to go collect data from a place which gets snow, and one of those places is Hawksburg. So before that research on climate change, I have never actually seen snow in my whole entire life. So that experience was the most beautiful experiences of my life, because it was me seeing snow for the very first time. And I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I've seen snow in American movies, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to see that in real life. And going to Hawksburg actually made that dream a reality. So yeah, I would say Hawksburg because of that reason, seeing snow.
That's amazing, but weren't you cold?
We knew it was going to be cold, so we went there prepared. And it wasn't too much. Because it wasn't too much, we were not that cold, but it was still snow.
That's really great. What has been one of your favorite places to travel around the world?
One of my favorite places to travel, I would definitely love to go to the Bahamas. I love beautiful sunny places. The ocean over there looks very beautiful, and I would love to go over there and have a lot of fun in the sun. And the island is absolutely amazing, so I would love to go have fun in the Bahamas. And the other place is Paris. I would definitely love to go see the Eiffel Tower. And the places which I have already visited and I had lots of fun in, and they were always my favorite places to visit, was Disneyland because I grew up watching Disney shows, and That's So Raven was my absolute favorite. So I always wanted to go to Disneyland, and I got to do that, and it was absolutely amazing. I had lots and lots of fun over there. And another place was Universal Studios because we grew up seeing Universal Studio movies, and I always wanted to go over there, and I got to do that, and it was beautiful as well. It was a very fun experience for me. And I also saw Spider-Man statue of him hanging, which was absolutely amazing for me because Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel superhero. So seeing that statue of him was a fun experience for me. I really enjoyed that.
Now, there are different Disneylands around the world. Which Disneyland are you referring to?
I'm actually referring to Tokyo Disneyland. So it was absolutely amazing.
That's awesome. I actually have been to that one as well. I believe it's called DisneySea.
Yes, they have Disneyland and DisneySea, so these are different places. I've always wanted to go to DisneySea as well, but I did not get the opportunity to do that. But hopefully in the future, I will get to do that maybe in a different country. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. So I got the chance to go to DisneySea, and I like the reason I really wanted to do that one is because I had been to Disneyland and Disney World, so the DisneySea one is a little different because it had certain roller coasters and certain things that Disneyland didn't have in other places around the world. So it's like more specific to Japan. But it's really cool that you also went to Japan's Universal Studios too. I had not been
Yeah.
to that one.
Yeah, it was a fun experience. We would take school trips, and these were actually organized by the international student section from our university so that we, as international students, wouldn't feel left out during the holiday season. And it was a fun experience, actually.
That's so cool. I love how much you've already seen around the world and how much you still want to see. So,
Yeah, you've also been to Japan. How was the experience for you?
oh my goodness, that's one of my favorite places that I've ever been. I loved it. I was only there 2.5 weeks, but I saw a lot. I went to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Hiroshima, Miyajima, and Hakone. Now, what is one thing we haven't discussed that you think people should know about South Africa?
Well, the one thing we didn't discuss is our very colorful and beautiful traditional clothes, which we call umbato. I think our traditional clothes have very powerful meaning behind them, and we also paint our faces as well, which is absolutely wonderful. In our country, we are very expressive in terms of our culture. So we show our expressions through painting our faces and wearing certain outfits, and certain outfits are used for certain occasions and they have different meanings. But in my country, we paint our faces, and this is called ukuchokoza, painting of our face. And we also have traditional jewelry like you see here, and this is actually a headband. You wear it over your head like this, and it should sit like this on your head. And then we also have this hat. This hat is actually called isiphaca. It's actually a Zulu traditional hat, and you wear it like that as well, but it's normally used by our elders and queens. It's a very powerful hat. And then we also have this mat. This is called ukuko. Most people back in the day did not have beds, so they would sleep on this. And it's made using thatching grass. So yeah, and now it's normally used as a form of ornament, so you can just lay it on your table and serve your food. And then we also have traditional clothes with different paintings, and over here we have an apron which has a Xhosa woman that's smoking a pipe, and she's wearing an attire called umbhaco, and the pipe that she's smoking is called inqawe. So the things we didn't really touch on would be our attire, and but I've shown you a couple that we have, and we have so many different ones. And I also have this one here which I call the bag of clicks. It's a bag that you can carry with you during formal functions or something like that. And one thing we also didn't touch on that a lot of people get confused by is that they think when they come to Africa they will see people wearing animal skins, painting their faces and looking like this. But we do dress like this, but only on special occasions whereby we are celebrating our culture. And on normal days when we're going to work or going to school and so on and so forth, we dress like any other people from any other country. So when you come to Africa, you're not gonna see people being like this, how I'm looking right now, because they only dress like this on special occasions. So I just wanted to break that stereotype. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, for those of you who may not know, we are both recording separately, so I can't see how she looks right now. But I did, before we started recording, I did get a sneak peek at her outfit, and I know it looked amazing. So I can't wait to see the other relaxing props that you showed as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, well, I think this is a great way to close it off with a relaxing trigger. What is one of your favorite ASMR triggers, and can you show it to us?
My favorite trigger would be fast and aggressive. I love fast and aggressive triggers, but I love doing fast and aggressive triggers and incorporating my culture in it through doing the clicks. So I love doing fast and aggressive mouth sounds, and tongue clicks. And right now, I just want to do a fast and aggressive mouth sounds and tongue click of a very common Xhosa tongue twister, and it goes like this. Qaqamba uqale nini uqaqanjelwa liqhakuva emqolo gqirha ndiqale ngomgqibelo uqaqanjelwa liqhakuva emqolo ndaqonda uba mandiqale kuwe kuqala gqirha. And that is it. And yeah.
That is definitely a tongue twister for sure. Wow, that is so cool. And yes, definitely check out her channel. She has a ton of amazing stuff about, Xhosa language and the culture and so much wisdom to share. So definitely check it out. And thank you so, so much again for chatting with me today and teaching us a little bit more about South Africa.
And thank you so much for having me today, Sharon. I was so honored to be chosen by you to be part of this series because you have been working with some of the most amazing ASMR artists from many different parts of the world, and you just made me feel special by picking me to be a part of it. So thank you for making me feel special today, and thank you for having a great conversation with me. I really enjoyed our chat.
Oh, thank you so much. And I do have to say that on the contrary, I'm the one who feels honored to have you on this series. So thank you. And we'll wrap it up with a lovely Flutters Away. So I hope that you and everyone else watching has a relaxing rest of your day and flutters away.